The Play Mornings with Steph and John replay.
Good morning, world.
It is April 2nd, 2024.
And there's something to be sad about today, John.
Oh, what?
Apparently, we're losing Google Podcasts.
Okay.
I know. I kind of felt the same way.
I've never heard of this app or website.
It's an app.
Yeah.
I think, though, have you ever had an Android?
No.
Okay, I've had an Android for 6 months, 8 years ago.
Okay.
And been an Apple user the whole time. But I think it's kind of the same as Apple Podcasts on your iPhone.
Okay, which I don't use either.
What do you use for podcasts?
Spotify.
Really?
Yeah, everything that gets uploaded to Apple Podcasts, unless they're like exclusive, is right up on Spotify.
That's so interesting because the Apple Podcast app comes with your phone.
Yeah, I don't use any app like that comes with my phone. I deleted Books. Do you use the Books app?
No, but I didn't know you could delete it.
Yeah, you can delete them.
You're kidding.
No, so the ones that are just cluttering up your homepage, yeah.
I'm about to free up so much space on my phone.
Good. How are you enjoying 2024?
It's going all right. No complaints so far.
Exactly. It's going all right. It's not amazing. It's not extraordinary, but it's also not terrible, right?
Okay, I
It's
guess.
like middle ground.
Yeah. It's very mid,
Yeah,
as a Gen Z would say.
exactly. So you get it. To me, it's been super boring. Like, it's uneventful.
I don't think I want it to be eventful.
You don't want your year to be eventful?
Okay, I want my year to be eventful. I want to have fun and everything. I
Yeah.
think I've been having fun so far.
Yeah.
It's been weird weather, so I haven't been able to get on the trails because I'm going to slip and fall and break my leg, but it's been pretty good.
Okay, so you're being an optimist about this.
Yeah. You're not?
No, it seems so weird. Granted, when I did think a year was slow, it was 2020. The whole world shut down, so maybe I don't want something crazy to happen.
Yeah, John, should we cut your tongue out or at least should you bite it? My goodness. Survey results are in, and apparently 65% of people who use dating apps from 18 to 27 years old would prefer to have a virtual first date than an in-person one.
I'm all for this.
Are you really?
100%. Are you kidding?
No, I'm interested. Why?
Well, because say you don't like the person, right?
Yeah.
You're not spending money on them on a first date if you don't like them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And I guess as well, you can just hang up instead of having to have an awkward, well, we sat down for dinner and now we got to wait for it to arrive. Is that kind of it?
Yeah, no, exactly. Either you can hang up just preemptively or be like, oh, this was not it. Okay, goodbye.
Interesting. Okay, so the study says that the reason is that people don't want to waste money on something that might not be worth it.
Bingo. Yeah.
Really?
Of course,
Oh my God.
especially as guys, I feel like the guy thing to do is, hey, first date, you're paying.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so I think dudes have a lot more incentive. And girls, I mean, sounds a lot safer for girls, too.
I guess if you look at it that way. But wouldn't you like to go out on a date? Isn't it kind of fun? Yeah, let's meet for dinner. I have this great restaurant I'd love to show you.
Steph, you fell in love before dating apps really blew up. You don't necessarily want to go on dates with these kind of people.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
I guess I can be glad that I'm old.
A message in a bottle washed up on Cayman Islands beach.
That's cool.
Yeah, now what was inside was a little sad. It was messages to a deceased one that they threw in the ocean. So the person who found it threw it back in the ocean.
That was kind of them.
Yeah, it'll be there. But it got me thinking, what would you put in a message in a bottle? Because I know exactly what I would put in mine.
Why don't you go first? I don't want to have a lame answer and then you have a really good one.
Okay. So I was thinking, if I were to ever throw a message in a bottle into the ocean, I would make a scavenger hunt beforehand, like an actual treasure map.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would plan it out so that everything that I've done can't be broken within 40 years?
40, okay.
I imagine that's how long it might take for it to wash up.
Sure.
Yeah, so everything that I do in the scavenger hunt has to be sustainable for years to come. And how cool would it be 40 years from now, somebody in China finding it, flying over to Fort Mac or Alberta, and then doing the scavenger hunt?
And how cool would it be if they dug and then they found a dinosaur while they were at it?
I would have to get some credit. Partial credit?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think they would call it like message in a bottle dinosaur, or they would have to make it one syllable, right? Like message in a bottle dinosaur. So you wouldn't like quite know.
Jonosaurus.
Jonosaur. That's too lame. That is a
You
lame
always
answer.
shut down my John ideas. Like,
People are now signing up for a divorce registry.
like a wedding registry?
Yeah, so at a wedding, you go to, say, a store like Walmart, you put all these things that you would like to have in your home, and then people know what to get you for your wedding gifts.
Which, by the way, is already crazy. Why do I have to get you anything for your wedding?
It's customary.
That's insane, especially if, like, it's location wedding, destination wedding, dude. You're not getting anything from me.
I think a lot of people say my presence is the gift if it's a destination wedding.
Exactly, okay. Same page as those people.
But now people are saying, hey, I got divorced. I left with less than half of my stuff. I don't have my wedding presents you bought me 20 years ago anymore.
Yeah.
I'm now going to sign up for a divorce registry. If you want to help me through this tough time of having to restock my cupboards, here's what kind of dishes I'd like.
I think my pride is way too high to sign up for a divorce registry.
Is your pride too high to give somebody a present for getting divorced?
That seems so weird. It seems so weird.
When I got married, somebody said to me, I wish you would get presents for half-life marriage. Like, say you're married for 20 years, you haven't gotten anything new since your wedding, which was 20 years ago. Can we get a prize for making it this far? Can we get
What?
Yeah, she was saying, like, it'd be nice if people gave me, a new bowl set or a new dishes set, or my mixer's getting a little worn down.
Congrats on not getting divorced, I guess? Like, what?
Yeah, that was her logic.
I think we need to come up with a jingle, Steph.
Yeah?
Because it is time for Guinness World Record.
Please sing it. Sing the jingle.
John and Steph.
Okay, stop. Don't. Nope. They hire professionals for this.
Record.
That's enough.
Well, this one is the most amount of people named Kyle in one spot.
Oh my gosh. Didn't they do this last year?
They attempted it last year. They fell short with only 1,400 people because the previous record by Ivans, if you could believe it, I didn't know that was that popular of a name, had 2,325 people. So, the city of Kyle, Texas, they're retrying it this year.
I love this. I actually messaged a bunch of Kyles that I haven't talked to in years on Facebook last year, trying to convince them to go to Kyle.
Do you know if any of them went?
I don't think they did.
Okay.
They all sent me back like, ha, 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 or they just liked my message. And I was like, wow, this is why we haven't talked in years. You don't even care to have a conversation with me when I'm coming to you out of the blue.
Well, I mean, their name is Kyle. You don't expect a tip-top shape.
Oh, John.
No. It's okay. My name's John. It means toilet. We go back and forth, Kyle and I.
Okay. So what day do we have to send all the Kyles?
The day we have to send all the Kyles is May 8th. 1 p.m. at the Kyle Fair.
Okay. Kyle Fair in Kyle, Texas. If
May
your name
8th.
is Kyle.
Go.
And it has to be spelled Kyle, right?
Kyle.
Okay. If your parents didn't get creative and spelled Kyle the way everybody else does, go to Kyle, Texas. It is river breakup season.
I've heard about it. I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so the river that we drive over on the bridge there, that's the Athabasca River. There's also the Clearwater River that feeds into it. Down by the Snai, you can see some ice there.
Okay.
Yeah, so those rivers all break at one point, and they kind of start flowing, and it depends on how it breaks. Sometimes it's a thermal break, sometimes it's a different kind of break, but they sometimes the ice just kind of melts and sinks, or other times it all breaks into big chunks and flows down the river, and it's quite an event.
Oh, I bet. It sounds crazy.
Riveting, John. It sounds riveting.
Riverting.
But you can watch on the river cam, the live stream, of course, because it's not safe to be around it. However, it's always fun to guess when it's going to break up.
Yeah, that's true.
So we decided to make a contest out of it, of course.
We did.
So over on our Facebook page, you can see a brand new post we just put up about 10 minutes ago. It's going to be open for commenting until Friday at 10 a.m. And you can guess when you think the river breakup is going to be declared complete. That is the official language of the RMWB. And once they declare it complete, that is the date we will say is river breakup. So when you think that's going to happen, $100 grocery gift card up for grabs to one person. If we get more than one correct guess on the day, we'll draw from all the correct guesses. So really fun, exciting, and so easy. Just head on over to our Facebook page, which is Play 103 Radio. It's spring purge time.
That's right.
Yeah, and I follow Go Clean Co. on Instagram, and she has kind of a list. You start with your kitchen, then you move to your bedrooms and things like that. And now my hallway is just full of like reusable grocery bags of things just don't need anymore.
Okay, yeah.
Don't need to clutter up my life anymore. But I was thinking about the things that I was putting in those bags and thinking, am I going to regret this later?
Oh, interesting. That sounds like kind of a hoarder mentality.
Okay. Well, you have just a bunch of cords that you've had for so long, and you're like, there's no point in getting rid of this. I'll never be able to find it again, or I'll have to pay $20 when I just have the cord here.
Yeah.
And so then you end up holding cords for 10 years.
Yeah.
That was the conversation I was having with my husband the other day. Like, should we get rid of these Ethernet cables? We haven't used them in a long time, but what if we need a 100-foot Ethernet cable for something? But I also thought about this raincoat that I got rid of about 5 years ago.
5, and you're still thinking about it?
I'm still thinking about it.
Okay.
See, this is the problem. I purged the wrong thing there.
Okay, we got to hear this.
And so, yeah, it was this beautiful red raincoat, and I wore it whenever it rained, and it was a little small for me. And so I thought, you know what? Somebody else can enjoy this before it's out of style. And I've thought about it ever since. And I think about it in the sense that it fits me and it looks great, not in the sense that it was too small.
You know if you can still find a version of it? Like, you know if they still sell them?
I don't think they do. It was like one of the spring collections at Susie Shear when I worked at the mall 10 years ago.
Okay, so then you did truly make a mistake throwing this thing out.
Yeah, but I also made a mistake when I bought it. I bought the wrong size. So it's not like if I had it now, I would be able to wear it.
Okay, well, now I'm confused.
I'm just sad, okay? I'm sad about my red raincoat, John, and it's making me question the cords that are currently in the giveaway pile. Should I do it, or am I in 5 years I'm going to be like, that Ethernet cable was so great? Sometimes I feel like we should change our name to like Scam Dogs.
Do we have another scam?
Yeah. Can you believe it? I can't believe that there are just people who come up with ways to deceive others and steal their money. It's just rude.
I can't believe I haven't been beat by one of these scams yet with the amount that there are.
You need to knock on some wood right now. Cross your fingers that doesn't happen, because one of these days somebody's going to get you and they're going to take you for all your work.
Well, what's this one?
This one is for when you're flying. So you know the stress of flying and you just kind of believe whatever the airline tells you. Well, you get a text the day before your flight that says, hey, your flight has been canceled. We're switching you to a new one, but you have to pay the difference.
Okay.
So then you click on the link to go pay the difference of the new flight.
Yeah.
Your original flight wasn't canceled. There is no new flight. You pay the person, but also you now go to the airport at the wrong time and miss your flight.
That's crazy.
It seems really unfair. Like, it's terrible that you're going to fall for the scam, but also, if the person is only just getting the difference of what a flight costs,
Yeah.
like, do you have to make them miss their flight as well? Like, do you have to take their $150 difference, pretend difference of the flight, and then be like, oh, and by the way, you're also out $1,500 and no trip to Newfoundland anymore, you know?
I don't think they care, but how do they get this information that you're about to go on a flight?
That I don't know.
Right? Like, that seems more like the airline's fault if they're able to get this information somehow.
Or maybe you're one of those people who are like, I'm flying tomorrow, can't wait, on WestJet or something, and that's how they get it.
Oh.
No, because then they would still have to text you. I'm not sure how they
Yeah.
get it, but you know what? Those scammers, they're just little
They're ahead of the
muskrats.
time.
They can get in there and do whatever they want. So just beware if you do get a text the day before your flight that tells you your flight is canceled, that tells you should click on a link, just log into your airline yourself and see what's going on. We got our go-to guy for things in the sky and news reporter here, Mr. John Tupper. We got to talk about the big event that's coming next week. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's not that big of an event here in Fort McMurray, but we got a little tiny eclipse coming on April 8th.
It feels like a big event because I think but where you ask on the internet, people are making plans for it. They're getting nervous about it. They're sending out warnings. Eclipse.
Yeah, because the eclipse in totality is hitting sort of the major population centers of the U.S. and Canada. There's a lot of hype from the Eastern media. We're way over west at 57 degrees north latitude. So up here, it's going to be a partial eclipse. Only like 20% of the sun will be covered by the moon, which is actually half as much of an eclipse as we had just last October 14th. So it's really, honestly, you won't notice anything different here in Fort McMurray.
That's very interesting that we had an eclipse last October, and I feel like most people didn't even notice unless you were you. I know that my husband went and watched the eclipse with you. Thanks for inviting him. But most people just kind of went about their day normally. But this one is getting so much hype because of it's hitting the major cities, you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's down in the Niagara area. It's down in sort of the northern New York State area. So you've got these big major networks that are bringing on so-called experts to give you all sorts of warnings. And of course, there's always some omens and some fear that comes with an eclipse. So I was watching the news last night, and Fox, of course, had an ophthalmologist on saying, well, don't look directly at the eclipse. And he's probably right from an ophthalmological point of view, but not necessarily from an astronomical point of view. What NASA has to say absolutely disagrees. When you have a partial eclipse, something like we have here, where only 20% of the sun is obscured, the sun is still far too bright for your eyes to even be capable of looking in that direction. We have something called the photoaversion reflex, which prevents us from looking at the sun. It's what makes you blink when you see a flash. And the amount of sunlight we're going to lose at the peak of the eclipse is the exact same amount of sunlight we lose as the sun sets low in the sky. And at 3:30 on April 8th, when you're driving up Thickwood Boulevard or Confed and the eclipse is long past, you're actually going to see the sun just as bright as it was during the maximum point of 20.9% of the eclipse. Do you look at the sun directly when you're going up Confed at 3:30, picking your kids up from school? No, it's too insanely bright to even try.
So are you going to be looking at the sun with a shield or something?
I'm not, because this is a super boring eclipse. But if I were... Well, and also, Steph, you have like half of my equipment.
I know,
right?
Thank you. I am going to Texas to actually look at the eclipse where it's going to be passing.
If I were to look at the eclipse, I would do what I did for John here. I would give him a number 13 welding shade 13 welding plate, which you can get all throughout Fort McMurray, and you can put that in front of your eyes, and you can see the eclipse with a wee little nibble of the moon crossing over the corner of it.
And so for schools and things, is there anything to worry about thinking about kids?
Both the Catholic and the public schools are keeping the kids indoors, at least the elementary school kids. It's overly cautious. You're not going to be capable of looking at the sun, even if you intended to. So, it's a precautionary principle, but it's a bit of an overreaction. And I'll explain the difference. We measure the brightness of an object in space in magnitudes. On a clear April day in Fort McMurray, the sun has a magnitude of negative 26.54. Negative numbers mean brighter.
Okay.
During the maximum eclipse, it's going to be negative 26.28, a difference in magnitude of 0.26. An absolute infinitesimal amount of light difference. With that said, our school systems have to deal with kids licking metal poles when it's minus 40, even though they shouldn't. So I do understand their desire to be cautious, even though it's certainly not founded in any science.
And at what time? Not that we're going to look at it, but what time is it going to happen?
It's going to start at 12:01 p.m. So just a minute after you have your lunch break. And it's going to reach its maximum of 20.9% of the sun covered by the moon at 12:51 p.m. It's going to, if you use a proper welding shade or solar shield, it's just going to look like the lower right-hand corner gets a little cookie cutter shadow over it. There won't be any grand wow factor. But what is cool about it, and I'm always going to leave you with something that's cool, what you're seeing when the moon moves across the surface of the sun, it's not the rotation of the Earth as we rotate. It's not the orbit of the Earth going around the sun. It is the orbit of the moon going across or going around the Earth. So you're going to see over about a space of 2 hours, you're going to be able to actually watch the orbit of the moon around the Earth, and it's weirdly fast. When you think about the moon in the sky, you always think of it as sort of a static ball that just kind of hovers there, but it's moving in the sky and quite quickly. So an eclipse gives us the opportunity to see the moon move across the sun and gives us kind of a reference point to look at the orbit of our own celestial companion.
Wow, really cool. John, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
That was our go-to guy for things in the sky, John Tupper.
Thanks for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Steph and John replay.
Find more Steph and John at play1037.ca.